Lieutenant Alex Winters stood near the wall of the Grand Hall, watching the mix of alien species mingle at the diplomatic reception. The lights on the USS Horizon's main gathering chamber had been adjusted to a soft purple glow to accommodate the various visual sensitivities of the guests. Alex felt uncomfortable in her dress uniform, but as the ship's combat medic, her presence was required at official functions. Remember, Captain Michelle Rivera had told the crew before the event, "We are guests of the Vexari Alliance. Humanity is the newest addition to their coalition. Do not engage unless approached first." Alex nodded politely at a tall, green-skinned diplomat who glanced her way. The alien turned immediately, showing no interest in conversation with a human. After 6 months in space as part of the first human delegation, Alex had grown used to being ignored by most Alliance species. "They think we're primitives," her friend Corporal Jack Perry had explained during their training. "We've barely figured out faster-than-light travel while they've had it for centuries." Alex took a small sip of the blue liquid in her glass. It tasted like mint and something else she couldn't identify. The medical officer in her had analyzed all the refreshments before the event to ensure human compatibility. As the night wore on, Alex noticed a service door partially open at the far end of the hall. Something blue flashed briefly in the gap. Curious, she made her way around the edge of the reception, nodding respectfully to various diplomats who barely acknowledged her presence. When she reached the door, Alex peeked through. The service corridor was dimly lit, but she could clearly see a figure on the floor. A young alien girl with 4 arms and normally bioluminescent blue skin lay crumpled against the wall. Her skin was turning a sickly gray color, and the natural glow was fading rapidly. Alex recognized her species immediately, a Zalaran. They were known for their advanced medical technology and general avoidance of other species. The girl appeared to be no more than a teenager by human standards. Alex glanced around and noticed something strange. Several aliens from different species walked past the corridor, clearly seeing the collapsed girl. None stopped. One even stepped over her fallen form to continue down the hallway. Without hesitation, Alex slipped through the door and knelt beside the girl. Her medical training kicked in automatically as she pulled her portable scanner from her uniform pocket. "Can you hear me?" Alex asked, keeping her voice calm and steady. The girl's large, pupil-less eyes fluttered open. All 4 of her hands trembled. She tried to speak, but only a wheezing sound escaped. Alex's scanner beeped as it analyzed the alien's biology. The results showed severe respiratory distress and systemic inflammation, similar to anaphylactic shock in humans. "I'm going to help you," Alex said, reaching for her emergency medical kit. A tall figure suddenly loomed over them. "Step away from the server, human," demanded a high-ranking Vexari official. His translator device gave his voice a metallic quality. "This does not concern you." "She needs immediate medical attention," Alex replied, not looking up as she prepared an injection. "Your primitive medicine will only harm her further," the official stated coldly. "This is an alliance matter." Alex noticed 2 more aliens watching from further down the corridor. Neither offered help. The Zalaran girl's breathing grew more labored, her skin now almost completely gray. "If someone else wants to treat her, they're welcome to step in," Alex said firmly. "Otherwise, I'm all she's got." The scanner identified the problem. The girl had touched a common Alliance fruit served at the reception, causing a severe allergic reaction. Alex modified the dosage on her hypo spray, adjusting for the differences in Zalaran physiology. "I said step away," the official repeated more forcefully. "This violates protocol." Alex looked directly into his 4 eyes. "I took an oath to preserve life. All life. If you want me to stop, you'll have to physically remove me." From the doorway, Commander Samantha Hayes, the human diplomatic leader, appeared. Her face showed alarm. "Lieutenant Winters, stand down." "Immediately," she ordered. "You're creating a diplomatic incident." The Zalaran girl's eyes locked onto Alex's face, silently pleading. Her 4th hand weakly grasped Alex's uniform sleeve. Alex made her decision. Protocol or not, she couldn't let this girl die. Alex ignored Commander Hayes and turned back to the Zalaran girl. Her four-fingered hands were now shaking uncontrollably. Time was running out. "Lieutenant, that's an order," Commander Hayes said, her voice sharp with authority. "With respect, Commander, she'll die in the next 2 minutes if I don't act," Alex replied, not looking up from her patient. "Court-martial me later." The Vexari official made a sound like grinding stones. "The human refuses to comply. This confirms what we suspected about their species." Alex pulled out the emergency auto-injector from her kit. She had studied the basic biology of all Alliance species during her training. Xylarans had a triple-layered circulatory system, but their primary reactions to allergens were remarkably similar to humans. "This will help your breathing," Alex told the girl gently, pressing the injector against the soft spot where the girl's neck met her shoulder, the Xylaran equivalent of a human's carotid access point. The device hissed as it delivered the modified anti-inflammatory compound. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the girl took a deep, shuddering breath. Her gray skin slowly began to show hints of blue again. Commander Hayes stepped forward, lowering her voice. "Alex, do you realize what you're doing? The Alliance Council strictly forbids medical intervention between species without prior approval." "They made that rule because most Alliance medicine is species-specific," Alex whispered back, checking the girl's vitals on her scanner. "But the basics of emergency treatment are universal. Airway, breathing, circulation." The Xylaran girl's eyes opened fully now, glowing faintly with returning bioluminescence. She tried to speak, but Alex gently placed a finger to her lips. "Don't talk yet. Your throat is still swollen," Alex explained, preparing a second injection. "This one will reduce the inflammation." The service corridor was becoming crowded now. More Alliance officials had noticed the commotion, gathering in a half-circle around them. Alex felt their stares but kept her focus on her patient. "The human continues to interfere," the original Vexari official announced to the growing crowd. "We must remove her." Two security officers from another species, tall with exoskeletons like giant insects, moved toward Alex. As they reached, for her a commanding voice echoed down the corridor. "Stop. Now." The crowd parted and a distinguished Xylaran male strode forward. His blue skin glowed brightly with intricate patterns that marked his high rank. Unlike the girl, he wore formal attire covered in small glowing symbols. "Ambassador Talix," the Vexari official said, stepping back. "This human is interfering with saving my daughter's life," the ambassador finished, his voice cold. "While all of you walked past her." The corridor went silent. Alex administered the second injection, keeping her eyes on her patient. The girl's breathing was steadier now, her natural blue color returning gradually. "Nylith, what happened?" Ambassador Talix asked, kneeling beside his daughter. The girl, Nylith, spoke weakly. "The red fruit. I wanted to try it. She had an allergic reaction," Alex explained, showing the ambassador her scanner readings. "Severe anaphylaxis. Most Xylarans can't process the enzymes in Borrelian starfruit." Ambassador Talix studied Alex with eyes that seemed to see everything. "You know our physiology well, human. I'm a medic. It's my job to know," Alex replied simply. Commander Hayes stepped forward again. "Ambassador, I apologize for Lieutenant Winter's interference. She will be disciplined accordingly." "Disciplined?" The ambassador's voice was dangerously quiet. "For what offense? Preserving life while others ignored it?" The Vexari official made a dismissive gesture. "Service staff illnesses are not diplomatic concerns. The human violated multiple protocols." Ambassador Talix rose to his full height, towering over everyone in the corridor. His skin pulsed with bright blue light, a sign of strong emotion among Xylarans. "My daughter is not service staff. She was here to learn about Alliance customs as part of her education," he said. "And I watched from the reception as 12 different Alliance members walked past her collapsed form. Only the human stopped. Nylith reached out with one of her 4 hands and grasped Alex's wrist. "Thank you," she whispered. Alex nodded, helping the girl into a sitting position. You should rest for at least 30 minutes before moving much. The medication needs time to work, fully. Ambassador Talix turned to Commander Hayes. I wish to speak with your captain immediately, and this medic will join us. As security officers helped Nylith to stand, Ambassador Talix looked directly at Alex. What is your name, human healer? Lieutenant Alexandra Winters, she answered. USS Horizon Combat Medic. Lieutenant Winters, the ambassador said with a formal bow. The Zaelaran Confederation is in your debt. Captain Michelle Rivera's office felt small with so many people inside. Alex stood at attention next to Commander Hayes, while Ambassador Talix and 2 other Zaelarans waited by the captain's desk. Nylith sat in a chair, her color much improved, but still looking weak. Ambassador, I cannot express how sorry we are for this incident, Captain Rivera said, her voice carefully measured. Lieutenant Winters acted outside her authority. She acted as a healer should, Ambassador Talix replied. That is precisely what concerns me about this situation. Captain Rivera looked confused. I don't understand. The ambassador gestured to Nylith. My daughter would have died if left untreated for even 5 more minutes. Yet dozens of Alliance members walked past her. Only the humans stopped. The Alliance has strict protocols about medical interference between species. Commander, Hayes explained. Lieutenant Winters violated those protocols. And saved my daughter's life, the ambassador added. His skin glowed brighter with emotion. Tell me, Captain, are all humans like Lieutenant Winters? Captain Rivera glanced at Alex briefly. We are trained to preserve life when possible. It's a core value for us. Ambassador Talix nodded slowly. Interesting. The Alliance told us humans were primitive, dangerous, and unpredictable. Yet I see something else entirely. Alex finally spoke. May I ask a question, Captain? Captain Rivera hesitated, then nodded. Why does the Alliance forbid medical assistance between species? Alex asked. Most emergency treatment principles are universal. One of the Zaelarans with the ambassador, an older female with elaborate patterns on her skin, answered. Because most Alliance species have grown specialized and isolated. They no longer seek to understand others. This is Medical Elder Varix, Ambassador Talix explained. Our chief healer. Elder Varix moved closer to Alex, examining the medical scanner, still in her hand. Your device is simple compared to ours, yet you adapted its use for Zaelaran physiology correctly. How? Basic medical training, Alex replied. Learn the fundamentals of all allied species, focus on similarities rather than differences, and adjust treatments accordingly. Captain, Ambassador Talix said suddenly, I wish to make a formal request. The Zaelaran Confederation desires a medical exchange program with humans. The room went silent. Commander Hayes looked stunned. Ambassador, with all due respect, Captain Rivera said carefully, the Alliance Council would have to approve such a program, and they rarely permit. The Zaelaran Confederation holds 3 seats on the Alliance Council. Elder Varix interrupted. We rarely exercise our full influence, but in this matter we will. Nylith spoke up for the first time since entering the room. The humans saved me when everyone else just walked by. Why would they do that? All eyes turned to Alex, who felt suddenly uncomfortable with the attention. I don't know why they didn't help, she answered honestly. But I couldn't just watch you suffer. It goes against everything I believe in. Ambassador Talix made a gesture with his 4 hands that Alex didn't understand. This is what we have been searching for, he said to Elder Varix, who nodded in agreement. Captain Rivera looked increasingly concerned. Ambassador, I must inform Alliance Command about this situation. Lieutenant Winters may still face disciplinary action. If your Alliance punishes a healer for saving a life, Ambassador Talix said, his voice growing cold, then perhaps the Zaelarans have misunderstood what the Alliance truly stands for. The implied threat hung in the air. Alex knew from her briefings that the Zaelarans were one of the most technologically advanced species in the Alliance, despite their typical reclusiveness. Lieutenant, Elder Varix addressed Alex directly, Would you be willing to learn our healing methods? Before Alex could answer, Commander Hayes cut in. That would require formal approval through proper channels. Ambassador Talix fixed his gaze on Captain Rivera. Captain, your ship will remain in orbit around our homeworld for the scheduled diplomatic mission, yes? For the next 14 days, yes, Captain Rivera confirmed. Then I propose this. Lieutenant Winters will visit our medical facilities tomorrow. Not as an official exchange, but as our honored guest. The ambassador turned to Alex. That is, if you are willing. Alex looked at her captain, unsure how to respond. This was far beyond normal protocol. Captain Rivera seemed to be weighing her options carefully. She finally nodded. Lieutenant Winters may accept your invitation in an unofficial capacity, but I must report this entire incident to Alliance Command. Course, Ambassador Talix agreed. And I will be making my own report to the Zalaran High Council. As the meeting concluded, Nylith approached Alex while the others spoke among themselves. Why did you help me? She asked simply. Alex smiled. Because you needed help. That's all there is to it. Nylith's skin glowed brighter. I would like to learn more about humans. You are very different from what we have been told. I think, Alex replied, that's precisely what your father is counting on. Alex sat alone in her quarters later that night reviewing her medical logs. A soft beep at her door interrupted her thoughts. Enter, she called. Commander Hayes stepped inside, her face serious. We need to talk, Lieutenant. Alex stood quickly. Yes, Commander. Sit down, Alex, Hayes said, her tone softening. This isn't an official reprimand. Not yet, anyway. They both sat at the small table in Alex's quarters. Commander Hayes looked tired, the weight of diplomatic responsibility clear on her face. Alliance Command is not happy, Hayes began. The Vexari representative has filed a formal complaint about your interference. I understand, Alex replied quietly. Do you? Hayes leaned forward. Humanity has only been part of the Alliance for 8 months. We're still proving ourselves. Your actions, however well-intentioned, could damage our standing. Alex met the commander's eyes. With respect, if the Alliance values protocol over saving a life, maybe we should reconsider our membership. Hayes sighed. It's not that simple. Different species have different values. What seems right to us might be deeply offensive to others. Is saving a dying girl offensive to anyone? The issue is more complex than that, Hayes explained. Many Alliance species believe in non-interference. They think each species should handle their own medical emergencies. That's absurd, Alex said, her frustration growing. Medicine should be about helping anyone who needs it. A second beep at the door interrupted them. Enter, Alex called, expecting Dr. Ethan Grant, the ship's chief medical officer. Instead, Ambassador Talix ducked his tall frame through the doorway. Both women stood immediately. Ambassador, Commander Hayes said, clearly surprised. We weren't expecting you. I apologize for the intrusion, the ambassador said. I wish to speak with Lieutenant Winters privately, but I see you are already in discussion. Hayes moved toward the door. I'll leave you to... Please stay, Commander, Ambassador Talix requested. What I have to say concerns both of you. The ambassador sat down, folding his forearms in a careful manner that Alex recognized as a formal posture from her cultural briefings. I must explain something about Zalarans, he began. We are a very private species. We joined the Alliance centuries ago, but have kept largely to ourselves. Do you know why? Both women shook their heads. Because we were disappointed, the ambassador continued. The Alliance was founded on principles of mutual aid and respect. Yet over time it has become a collection of species who tolerate each other for economic and defense benefits. Nothing more. He turned his large eyes to Alex. What you did today, helping my daughter without hesitation, is something we have not witnessed from an Alliance member in over 100 years. I don't understand, Alex said. Surely medical emergencies happen all the time. They do, the ambassador agreed. And they are handled by each species independently, as commander, Hayes mentioned. The Alliance has grown cold, Lieutenant. Species no longer help each other in times of need unless there is a treaty obligation or material benefit. Commander Hayes looked uncomfortable. Ambassador, with all due respect, the Alliance has brought peace and stability to the galaxy for centuries. Peace, yes. Stability, yes. Ambassador Talix nodded. But at what cost? The loss of compassion? The death of empathy between different forms of life? He turned back to Alex. The Zaylaran Confederation has been watching humanity closely since your species joined the Alliance. You are considered primitive by many, yet you possess something many older species have lost. You still care about life itself, not just your own kind. The room fell silent as they absorbed his words. What happens next? Alex finally asked. Tomorrow you will visit our medical center as planned, the ambassador said. But know this. The Alliance Council will demand your punishment. Captain Rivera will face pressure to discipline you severely. Commander Hayes nodded grimly. He's right. Alliance protocol is clear on unauthorized medical intervention. Ambassador Talix's skin glowed with subtle patterns that Alex couldn't interpret. The Zaylaran Confederation holds significant influence within the Alliance. We rarely exercise it fully, but for this matter, we will. He looked directly at Alex. You saved my daughter not because she was important or valuable, but simply because she needed help. That single act has convinced many among my people that humanity deserves a greater role in the Alliance's future. I was just doing my job, Alex said quietly. And that, the ambassador replied, is precisely what makes your species so remarkable to us. As Ambassador Talix prepared to leave, he turned to Commander Hayes. The Alliance may have forgotten what it means to care for all life, Commander. Perhaps humanity will help them remember. The Zaylaran Medical Center was unlike any hospital Alex had ever seen. Instead of white sterile walls, the building was filled with plants and flowing water. Light came from bioluminescent panels that matched the natural glow of Zaylaran skin. Our healing philosophy connects mind, body, and environment, Elder Varix explained as she led Alex through the main hall. We believe separation causes illness. Alex noticed there were no separate waiting rooms or departments. Patients and healers mingled in open spaces with treatment areas partially hidden by living screens of flowering vines. It's beautiful, Alex said, genuinely impressed. But how do you prevent cross-contamination? Elder Varix smiled. The plants are not just decorative. They filter air and produce compounds that neutralize most pathogens. And this, she pointed to a barely visible mist in the air. Specialized nanites that identify and eliminate harmful microbes. As they walked deeper into the facility, Alex saw medical technology far beyond human capabilities. Patients floated in glowing pools of liquid. Healers used handheld devices that seemed to repair tissue instantly. Your regenerative medicine is amazing, Alex said, watching a Xylaran with a deep wound as the tissue closed before her eyes. Yes. Our bodies respond well to these treatments, Elder Varix agreed. But we have limitations too. She led Alex to a quieter section where several Xylarans lay in obvious distress. Their skin barely glowed and they showed signs of severe pain. What's wrong with them? Alex asked. Nerve toxin exposure from a mining accident, Elder Varix explained. Our regenerative treatments can't repair neural damage effectively. These workers have been suffering for months. Alex studied the patients carefully. On Earth, we've developed treatments for similar neural injuries. Nothing as advanced as your regenerative technology, but effective for pain management and neural pathway reconstruction. Elder Varix's eyes widened slightly. Would you be willing to share this knowledge? Of course, Alex replied without hesitation. That's what medicine should be about, sharing knowledge to help all patients. A familiar voice came from behind them. I thought I'd find you talking about healing methods already. Alex turned to see Nylith standing there, her color fully restored and her skin glowing brightly. How are you feeling? Alex asked. Much better, Nylith answered. Thank you again for saving me. Father has assigned me to be your guide while you're here. Elder Varix nodded approvingly. Nylith has been studying to become a healer herself. Perhaps she can learn from your human perspective. For the next few hours, Alex toured the facility with Nylith. They discussed different treatment approaches, comparing human and Zalaran methods. Alex was surprised by how eagerly Nylith absorbed information about human medicine. "Your treatment seems so basic compared to ours," Nylith observed as Alex explained emergency field procedures. "Yet they work across multiple species. How is that possible?" "Human medicine developed with limited resources," Alex explained. "We had to focus on universal principles that work in almost any situation. While your technology is far more advanced, it's also highly specialized for Zalaran biology." As they entered the research wing, Nylith lowered her voice. "The Alliance. Council has called an emergency session about you." Alex stopped walking. "About me? Why?" "Father says they're debating what to do about your intervention. Some species are demanding you be removed from Alliance space entirely." "For helping you?" Alex asked, shocked. Nylith's skin patterns shifted in what Alex was learning to recognize as sadness. "They say you violated the most sacred Alliance principle. Non-interference. They fear humans will keep breaking protocols if not severely punished." Before Alex could respond, her communicator beeped. "Lieutenant Winters," she answered. "Alex, return to the ship immediately." Commander Hayes' voice came through, sounding tense. "The Alliance Council has issued a summons. You're to appear before them in 3 hours." Alex looked at Nylith, whose skin had paled slightly. "What does a council summons mean?" "It means," Nylith said quietly, "they've already decided your punishment. The hearing is just a formality." As they walked quickly toward the exit, they passed the neural injury ward again. One of the patients raised a weak hand toward Alex. "Is that the human healer?" he asked in a pained voice. "The one who helped when no one else would?" Alex paused briefly. "Yes, but I have to go now. I've been summoned by the council." The injured Zalaran's skin flickered weakly. "Then they fear you already." "Good." Confused, Alex looked at Nylith for explanation. "He means," Nylith translated, "that change only comes when the comfortable are made uncomfortable. Your simple act of kindness has done that." As they reached the medical center's entrance, Ambassador Talix was waiting. "Lieutenant," he said solemnly, "the council summons is serious, but you will not face them alone. I will accompany you." "Thank you, Ambassador," Alex replied, feeling both nervous and determined. "But I don't regret what I did." The ambassador's skin glowed with a pattern Alex hadn't seen before. "Good, neither do we." The Alliance Council chamber was a massive circular room with tiered seating that rose high above the central floor. Alex stood in the middle, feeling small beneath the watchful eyes of over 30 different alien species. Captain Rivera and Commander Hayes stood a few steps behind her, while Ambassador Talix waited at the side. "Lieutenant Alexandra Winters of Earth," a deep voice announced. The speaker was a Vexari, the same species as the official who had tried to stop Alex from helping Nylith. "You stand accused of violating Alliance Protocol 447, unauthorized medical intervention between species. How do you respond?" Alex took a deep breath. Captain Rivera had coached her on the proper response. "I acknowledge my actions but request consideration of the emergency circumstances." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Vexari speaker, who Alex now recognized as High Counselor Drav, looked displeased. "Emergency circumstances do not override established protocol," he stated flatly. "The Alliance exists because each species respects the boundaries and customs of others. Your action demonstrates that humans are not ready for membership." Captain Rivera stepped forward. "High Counselor, with respect, Lieutenant Winters acted to save a life. Surely the preservation of life is a universal value." "A naive perspective," replied a tall, thin alien with gray skin and 6 eyes. "Each species determines what constitutes appropriate care for their own kind. The human had no right to impose her medical practices on a Zalaran." Alex bit her lip, fighting the urge to argue. Commander Hayes had warned her to speak only when directly addressed. "The medical records show that the Zalaran girl would have died without intervention," Captain Rivera countered. "No other medical personnel were present." "That is false," High Counselor Drav said. Several Alliance members with medical training were nearby. They correctly followed protocol by not interfering. Alex couldn't stay silent any longer. They walked past her. They literally stepped over her body. The chamber went silent. Commander Hayes closed her eyes briefly, as if expecting the worst. "You speak out of turn, human," High Counselor Drav said coldly. "This confirms our concerns about your species' inability to follow basic civilized procedures." Ambassador Talix finally moved to the center of the floor. "I request the right to address the Council as the father of the affected Zalaran." "Granted," a different Council member acknowledged. "My daughter Nylith was dying." The ambassador began simply. 12 Alliance members from 7 different species saw her and did nothing. Only the human acted. If following protocol means watching a child die when help is possible, then perhaps the protocol itself needs examination. High Counselor Drav's face hardened. The Zalaran Confederation agreed to these protocols when joining the Alliance ambassador. If you now find them objectionable, that is a separate matter from the humans' violation. Is it? Ambassador Talix challenged. Or have we all forgotten the founding principles of the Alliance? United in diversity, stronger through cooperation. Where was the cooperation when my daughter lay dying? Before the High Counselor could respond, the chamber doors opened. Nylith entered, followed by nearly 30 Zalarans of various ages. Each carried a small data tablet. "What is the meaning of this interruption?" High Counselor Drav demanded. Nylith walked forward to stand beside Alex. "I am the victim of the humans' intervention," she said clearly. "I request the right to present evidence." After a brief consultation among council members, they reluctantly agreed. "These are records," Nylith explained, gesturing to the tablets her companions held, "of 267 medical emergencies in Alliance space over the past 5 years where victims died because nearby Alliance members followed protocol rather than providing assistance." She handed her own tablet to the nearest council member. "This shows a pattern of neglect that has become accepted practice. The human is being punished for showing compassion that should be the standard, not the exception." Murmurs grew louder throughout the chamber. Some council members looked uncomfortable, others appeared angry. "This is not a trial of Alliance policies," High Counselor Drav insisted. "We are here to address one specific violation." "Are we?" Ambassador Talix asked. "Or are we really here because the human's simple act of compassion has exposed what we have all become?" Alex watched as council members began talking among themselves. Something was happening that she didn't fully understand. A new voice spoke, an older Zalaran whom Alex recognized as one of the patients with neural damage. "I was ready to die yesterday," the injured Zalaran said, his voice weak but determined. "Then I heard about a human who helped when no one else would. For the first time in months, I felt hope." One by one, other species began to speak, some supporting the protocols, others questioning them. The simple hearing was turning into something much larger. Alex leaned toward Nylith. "What's happening?" she whispered. Nylith's skin glowed with excitement. "Change," she whispered back. "Long overdue change." The council chamber had fallen into chaos. Different species argued among themselves while High Counselor Drav tried repeatedly to restore order. After several minutes, a loud, resonating tone silenced the room. It came from Elder Varix, who had joined the Zalaran group. "The council will have order," announced a new voice. A tall, slender alien with translucent skin and 6 limbs rose from the highest tier. Alex recognized the species as Araxian, one of the founding members of the Alliance. "I am High Elder Jens," the alien said. "As the most senior council member present, I will speak." The chamber went completely silent. Even High Counselor Drav seemed to shrink slightly. "For 300 years I have served on this council." High Elder Jens continued. "I remember when the Alliance was formed with noble purpose. To unite different life forms in mutual aid and respect. What I see today troubles me deeply." The elder floated down to the central floor, moving with a grace that belied great age. "Lieutenant Winters," High Elder Jens addressed Alex directly, Your action has ignited controversy because it reminds many of what we once were, and what we have become. High Counselor Drav stepped forward. High Elder, with respect, we cannot allow emotional appeals to override established protocols. The Alliance functions because we maintain clear boundaries. Does it function, Counselor? High Elder Jens asked softly. Or has it merely survived? There is a difference. Ambassador Talix moved to stand beside Alex. There is something the Council does not know. Something the Zalaran Confederation has kept secret for centuries. The ambassador's announcement caused another stir in the chamber. Speak, Ambassador. High Elder Jens granted permission. Ambassador Talix's skin glowed with complex patterns that seemed to convey deep emotion. The Zalaran Confederation has been testing Alliance species for generations. A simple test with a profound purpose. Alex looked at Nilith in surprise. The girl nodded slightly, confirming her father's words. We place our people in positions of apparent distress in public spaces. The ambassador continued. Then we observe who stops to help, who shows compassion across species boundaries. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. You deliberately endangered your own people? High Counselor Drav asked, clearly shocked. No, Ambassador Talix clarified. We used medical technology to simulate distress safely, except in my daughter's case. Her collapse was real, unexpected, and genuinely life-threatening. He looked at Alex with genuine gratitude. In that moment of true crisis, only the human acted. This matches our findings over centuries. Compassion between species has been steadily declining throughout the Alliance. High Elder Jens seemed troubled. Why conduct such a test, Ambassador? Because the founding principle of the Alliance was mutual aid between different forms of life, Elder Varix answered. Without that, the Alliance is merely a trading partnership and defense pact, not a true union of different beings. Alex finally understood. That's why you've kept your species isolated. You've been watching, waiting for the Alliance to live up to its ideals. Yes, Ambassador Talix confirmed. And in 8 months of humanity's membership, you have shown more cross-species compassion than many founding members have in centuries. High Counselor Drav straightened his posture. This is outrageous. You've been secretly judging Alliance, members without consent. And you've been failing that judgment, Nilith said boldly. Your own records show decreasing medical cooperation between species. Each world keeps its advances to itself. Each species focuses only on their own kind. Captain, Rivera moved forward, speaking for the first time since the revelations began. If I may, High Elder, humans have our flaws. Our history contains much violence and division. But we learned through bitter experience that survival requires cooperation. Medicine, especially, must transcend boundaries. High Elder Jens seemed to be considering deeply. Ambassador Talix, what does the Zalaran Confederation propose? 2 things, the ambassador replied. First, an immediate reform of Protocol 447 to encourage rather than forbid medical assistance between species. Second, the establishment of an Alliance Medical Corps with Lieutenant Winters as its first director. The proposal caused another eruption of voices. Some council members appeared outraged, others intrigued. High Counselor Drav's voice cut through the noise. And if the council refuses? Ambassador Talix's skin pulsed with bright, clear light, a sign of absolute certainty in Zalaran culture. Then the Zalaran Confederation will withdraw from the Alliance immediately and offer separate treaty agreements to humanity and any other species who share our values. The chamber fell silent at this unprecedented threat. Everyone knew the UIC Alliance would be severely weakened without Zalaran technology and influence. High Elder Jens turned slowly, surveying the entire council. We will vote tomorrow. Until then, Lieutenant Winters will remain under the protection of the Zalaran delegation. As the council members began filing out, Alex found herself surrounded by the Zalaran group. Nilith took her hand. You're not just on trial, Nilith said quietly. The entire Alliance is. 6 months later, Alex stood on the observation deck of the USS Horizon, watching as the ship pulled away from Earth's orbit. The vessel had been completely redesigned, its weapons systems reduced to make room for extensive medical facilities. "Lieutenant Winters, the final supply shipment is aboard," said a voice from behind her. Alex turned to see Dr. Ethan Grant, now her second in command. "Thank you, Doctor. And it's Director Winters now, remember?" Dr. Grant smiled, still getting used to all the changes. The changes had been many and rapid. After the dramatic council session, 3 tense days of voting and debate had followed. In the end, the Zaylaran ultimatum proved too significant to ignore. The council voted by a narrow margin to reform Protocol 447 and establish the Alliance Medical Corps. 5 Alliance species had withdrawn in protest, but 7 others that had previously maintained neutral positions became more actively involved. The balance of power had shifted. "Director," Captain Rivera called as she joined them on the deck. "Our course is set for the Talari system. They've reported a mining disaster with multiple species affected." Alex nodded. "We'll be ready. The new Zaylaran regeneration chambers are fully operational, and we have medical staff trained for all 12 species in that sector." The Horizon was now the flagship of the Alliance Medical Corps, a fleet of 10 vessels dedicated to providing emergency medical care throughout Alliance space. Each ship carried doctors and nurses from multiple species, combining their knowledge to create treatments that worked across biological differences. "Director Winters," a familiar voice called. Nyleth approached, her blue skin glowing brightly, with excitement. 4 other young Zaylarans followed her, all wearing the new Medical Corps uniform adapted for their forearms. "The Human Emergency Response Training Program is complete," Nyleth reported. "All 20 Zaylaran students passed." Alex smiled with pride. Nyleth had become the first Zaylaran to complete human medical training and now led her own team. Their combined knowledge of regenerative techniques and emergency trauma care had already saved hundreds of lives. "Excellent work," Alex replied. "You'll all get your first real field experience on this mission." Captain Rivera's communicator beeped. "Captain," she answered. "Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Ambassador Talix," reported the BOR communications officer. "Send it to the observation deck," Rivera ordered. A moment later, Ambassador Talix's image appeared on the large display screen. 6 months of working closely with humans had changed him. He wore a modified Alliance uniform now with the new Medical Corps insignia. "Director Winters, Captain Rivera." The ambassador greeted them. "I have important news. The Council has unanimously approved the expansion of the Medical Corps program." Alex couldn't hide her surprise. "Unanimously? Even High Counselor Drav?" The ambassador's skin pulsed with what Alex now recognized as amusement. "Even he has seen the benefits. The mining colony his species operates in the Farron system was saved by your team last month. It seems self-interest can sometimes lead to moral growth." "That's excellent news, Ambassador," Captain Rivera said. "What does this mean for our mission?" "It means 5 more ships will join the Medical Corps next month," Ambassador Talix explained. "And we've received applications from 17 species wanting to join the program, including 3 that aren't even Alliance members yet." The observation deck door opened again, and Elder Varix entered, moving with purpose despite her age. "We have something to show you," she announced, gesturing toward the door. 4 Zaylaran patients entered, the same ones Alex had seen months ago suffering from neural damage. They walked without assistance, their skin glowing with health. Though me. "Combined human Zaylaran treatment protocol was successful," Elder Varix said proudly. "We've now treated 67 patients who were previously considered untreatable." Alex felt a wave of emotion. This was why she had joined the Medical Corps. Not for politics or power, but to help those in need. "Director," Nyleth said, drawing Alex's attention to the main view screen. "We're receiving another signal. It's coming from unexplored space beyond the Talari system." Everyone turned to watch as the message was decoded. A new alien face appeared. On screen, a species no one recognized. "This is Settlement Outpost Kree," the alien said in rough Alliance standard language. "We have detected your vessel's medical broadcast signal. We have many injured from a stellar flare event. Can you help us?" Captain Rivera looked at Alex. "Director." This species isn't in the Alliance. We have no protocols for first contact through medical channels. Alex smiled, remembering how this all began, with one simple choice to help someone, different from herself. Send them our standard response, Alex decided. Tell them we're on our way. As the horizon changed course toward the unknown species, Alex reflected on how much had changed because she couldn't walk past one alien girl in distress. Sometimes, she said quietly to Nylith, the most important medicine is simply stopping to help when no one else will.